off a thrilling 40-39 comeback victory over the Falcons and are hoping to carry over that momentum into Week 3 against the Seahawks. Welcome into Cowboys Rewind. I'm Dani Sureck. The Cowboys have been pretty aggressive in their play calls through the first 2 weeks, which is a bit of a change from the previous coaching staff. In Week 1 against the Rams, the Cowboys were within field goal range and they were down by 3, however, decided to go for it on 4th and 3. In Week 2 against the Falcons, the Cowboys were aggressive with their special teams unit. They faked 2 punts and ended up recovering an onside kick, which led to a game-winning field goal. Special teams coordinator John Fossil says he likes that aggressive approach, especially with the special teams unit, which he says tends to get overlooked sometimes. Fossil says by taking those risks with special teams, it tells his players that they matter and that they can impact the final outcome of a game.
I think it's very underrated phase of the game where, you know, there can be huge swings in momentum or in score of the game, but it takes a lot of courage to try to call some of these plays where, you know, it's true boom or bust. There is no second down. It's always a change of possession play. So to have the guts to make some of those calls, you got to have them and you got to live with the consequences, because it's definitely not going to be 100% in your favor. But I do think it's a phase of the game that still hasn't been totally tapped into that can be a huge part of changing games. But living here in the current, I think it's a big part of changing mindset, at least for our guys, just to know that, you know, we're going to go for it. We're going to go for it and we got to get it. And if we don't, then we shake it off and we come back again. But, you know, these guys matter on special teams. You're a part of the game.
Mm-hmm. Additionally, is there value now that you've done this? I mean, there's 3 examples of something that you guys did on special teams that represents, you know, bold, creativity, all those things that we were just describing. That now you put that on tape for this year. I know you've done it before in your past, but it's on the tape for this year when people are preparing for the Cowboys. That is going to be practice time and meeting time that will be devoted to those plays, whether or not they were successful or not. Your opponents, starting with the Seahawks and those thereafter, are going to have to prepare for that same with their team. Is there value in just showing it early in the season and forcing your opponents to have to devote the time and resources to game plan for it?
Yeah, I think that's definitely maybe a byproduct of it. You know, we did it because we wanted it to work at that moment, and, you know, we'll definitely reload it again. But when we do this too, we think, okay, let's say somebody does that to us. It forces us also to game plan for ourselves, if you will. Like, you know, if somebody hits that ball to us on the onside kick, how do we handle it? You know, if somebody throws a stopper out to a gunner, how are we going to defend it? So it forces us to kind of answer those same questions that I think other teams have to do. But hopefully they know, you know, playing the Cowboys, that Coach McCarthy is going to be bold and brave, and we're going to try to win the football game. And sometimes that means, you know, emptying all the bullets out of the chamber, if you will. I hope I don't, you know, say that in a bad fashion, but I think, you know what I mean. We'll come out of the game, and any opportunities we have going into it, we want to make sure we use every one, because the worst thing that could happen is, you know, I told the guys today, just imagine if we lost and we didn't run one of those fake punts. We should have said, man, we should have run one of those fake punts, because maybe that would have changed the game. So at least we can say we had no regrets, and basically everything we went into that game with, we used. And whether it worked or not, we won the football game, but we used it all. I mean, we used it all. We used every player, we used every call, and we laid it out there. So I'm just so happy for the team.
Fossil, along with offensive coordinator Kellen Moore and head coach Mike McCarthy, have all said that even though the risk doesn't always pay off, they don't expect to change their aggressive approach anytime soon. McCarthy earned his first win as the Cowboys head coach and earned a meaningful gift for doing so. We'll learn about that gift from his players and hear from him right after this.
Cowboys Rewind is brought to you by AT&T Academy, the official sporting goods retailer of the Dallas Cowboys, and by NFL Game Pass. You'll never miss a game again. Enjoy full access to coaches' film and game replays from Week 1 to the Super Bowl. Subscribe at DallasCowboys.com/Game Pass.
finish. Keep fighting. It's a great lesson. That's a big chunk of confidence, man. We are preparing for. Good stuff. Regular leg. D-Lock, breaks it down.
Mike McCarthy won his first game as the Cowboys head coach and earned that game ball from his players. McCarthy remains undefeated at AT&T Stadium, where he won the 2011 Super Bowl with the Green Bay Packers. In that comeback victory, quarterback Dak Prescott had a phenomenal performance. He led his team back from a deficit and made some history while doing so. Prescott became the first quarterback to rush for 3 touchdowns and throw for more than 400 yards in a single game. McCarthy sat down with Bill Jones on the Mike McCarthy Show to discuss the poise he saw from his quarterback in that Week 2 victory.
There's similarities between Dak and Russell Wilson. I want to ask you about Dak, though, and the comeback last week. He had such an incredible second half in the game. What was the most impressive, though, to you about Dak in that game a week ago?
Dak never blinked. I mean, it's tough. I mean, whether you're playing or you're calling plays. I mean, when you have a sequence that we had during the first series, the ability just to not press and just to stay the course. He did a great job managing the game. He threw for over 70% completion percentage. He dealt the ball all day and just stayed the course, and that's exactly what needed to happen there. So great leadership and his steadiness was key to the victory.
All right, what about going up against this Seattle defense? Of course, when an offense comes to the line of scrimmage, the offensive line, they see where that middle linebacker is, and Bobby Wagner is one of the best guys in the league. But do you also have to, with the Seattle defense, also have to figure out where's Jamal Adams, number 33, too?
Definitely. Jamal's made an impact quickly. You can see it in the first 2 games. He's their premier pressure player. He plays with his hair on fire. I have great respect for Bobby. I've seen him, compete against those guys numerous of times, and I agree with you. He's a great player. He's the key to the middle of that defense, still making plays sideline to sideline. But those are 2 key focus players for us.
What about your defense, and what are you seeing through 2 games, and where does the improvement really need to come from right now?
The improvement needs to come in the details. We're not clean on certain aspects, and that's something that we will correct. And it has to correct because our guys are playing with great energy. We tackled very well against the Falcons. Didn't have any missed tackles. So that's a big step for us from week 1 to week 2.
Catch the Mike McCarthy Show Saturday nights at 11:30 on CBS. Defensively, there are still some concerns and questions to be answered with this Cowboys team. On the other side of the break, we hear from one defensive lineman on the specific changes he plans to make this week against Seattle to try and ignite what's been a rather dull pass rush. Stay with us. Welcome back to Cowboys Rewind. This Cowboys defensive line is stacked with veteran playmakers and Pro Bowlers. However, we have yet to see any sort of dominant pass rush. Through the first 2 weeks, the Cowboys have stacked up 7 quarterback hits and just 2 sacks. Is it because of the shortened offseason with no preseason games? Is it because of the shortened time with the new coaching staff and having to learn their nuances? Either way, excuses don't disrupt the quarterback. And defensive end Everson Griffin understands that. Griffin has recorded one of the team's 2 sacks and says he plans to make a few changes to his game this week to try to do a better job at disrupting the quarterback.
I feel like us as a group, we have to get lined up correctly. We have to play our gaps correctly, and we have to not beat ourselves. We cannot beat ourselves. We have to get lined up. We have to make the tackles. We have to make the calls, and we got to get the ball back for our offense. Our whole objective this week is keep Russell in the pocket and don't let him scramble. And we have to do that by, getting back there, generating pressure. These past 2 games, we haven't been generating pressure that well, to be honest with you guys. And I feel like we got to do a better job at generating pressure. If that's putting big guys in the middle to get more push in the pocket, if that's switching it up, doing whatever we have to do to be able to generate that push in the middle, that's what we have to do.
Everson, we talked to Mike Nolan about that as well earlier in the week, and he said it's not necessarily what one guy's doing, but really the coordination or not full coordination of all of what you're doing together. What's been the key across your career to really getting the defensive linemen on the same page?
I think it just starts with the fundamentals. Going back to the fundamentals of the game. Getting the call, getting lined up, getting in the right position, coming off the ball, executing the assignment, getting off the ball, playing fast. I think it's just the fundamentals of the game. This is a new group here, new coaching staff, so I feel like we're gelling. I feel like it's all coming together. We had a good day at work today out there at practice. I feel like guys flew around. I felt like we execute our assignments better. We got lined up quicker, and I feel like we just have to carry that over to the game each and every week.
How big of a difference is it rushing from having a hand on the ground to rushing standing up?
It's a big difference. I've been doing it. I've been with my hand in the dirt for the past 10 years now, and standing up a little bit. It's a little different, but I'm gonna get the hang of it. But I feel like I'm gonna go more back to my 3-point stance. That's where I'm more comfortable at, and I'm gonna come off the ball and I'm gonna strike, and I'm gonna do it at a high level to be able to go out there and get this victory for my team. I feel like all the guys are ready on the defense side of the ball to go out there, execute their assignments, and be productive. Do your job, execute the assignment, and go out there and win the game.
When you look at the tape of yourself, how would you assess how you've played the first 2 weeks of the season?
It's early. It's really early. I think that I'm getting into my groove. It's early. This is week 2 of regular season. No off-season training. I was training on my own, doing everything possible to be able to get ready for the season. Football, rushing the passer is the hardest thing to do in any sports. You got to beat a tackle, then you got to get the quarterback. So, it just takes getting into the groove and, rehearsing it each and every day. Repetition, without repetition. And I think that's what we got to do day in and day out. And that's what we did today as a group.
Griffin says he plans to work more from a 3-point stance this week rather than a 2-point stance because he feels more comfortable having his hand in the dirt, really exploding and getting to the quarterback. Seattle's quarterback Russell Wilson is already stirring that MVP pot. On the other side of the break, we talk about how the Cowboys can game plan to stop Wilson. Next. Seattle Seahawks quarterback Russell Wilson has been playing lights out so far this season. He completed 75% of his passes last week and 88% the week prior. Wilson has been hitting his receivers down the field. He's been eluding sacks and picking up some solid yardage with his legs as well. Heckma Harrison, Kyle Yeomans, Isaiah Stanback, and Rob Phillips break down why Wilson has been so impressive through the first 2 weeks this season on their podcast, Talking Cowboys.
No better person to talk about this matchup for somebody who played for both teams, and that's exactly what Isaiah Stanback has done. But, guys, I wanted to start this off by looking at really the offense for Seattle. And, of course, they're off to a fantastic start. Russell Wilson, just the 4th player in the Super Bowl era to throw at least 9 touchdown passes over the first 2 weeks of the season. Drew Brees in 2009, Super Bowl MVP season. Peyton Manning in 2013 won MVP that year. And then Patrick Mahomes in 2018. Guess what he did in 2018? He won the MVP. So you talk about a guy who's never had an MVP vote, which I think is just a travesty for all MVP voters in the world. The fact that Russell Wilson, throughout his 8-year, now into his 9th-year career, has not had a vote, a single vote for the MVP award. But he's making a case right now. He's making a case to do that.
Disrespect.
It is really disrespectful. But, Rob, whenever it comes to Russell Wilson and you're looking at this offense for Seattle, they're firing on all cylinders because 3's playing extremely well. How do you start even game planning to slow that down?
Well, you said it. I watched back the Pats game last night, and that first touchdown drive they had, it was a thing of beauty, man. It was 13 plays, 75 yards, 6 runs, 7 passes, and 3 times he got out of trouble. They weren't even designed runs, just scrambles. One for 21 yards. One was a slow developing play action that he got out of trouble for 6. And the balance was there. They used their backs. They used their tight ends. They used their receivers. And, oh, by the way, yeah, he's he's pretty good. And I don't know how you stop him, honestly, other than I know every time they played Seattle in the Rod Marinelli era, he talked about keeping him in the well. You've got to be disciplined in your rushes and don't let him get outside the pocket. But then you've got to watch him scrambling up the middle too, which is why we talked about the spy yesterday. I don't know what you do other than try to get a pass rush on him. Try to be more effective than you've been the first 2 weeks of the season, because the Cowboys will admit it hasn't been up to par so far.
Yeah, and so as we talk about this defense, right, the Cowboys defense, and trying to slow down the disrespected MVP caliber quarterback that is Russell Wilson, there's only been one thing that I've ever seen that has really slowed down Russell Wilson and really caused him issues. And that one thing is pressure on the interior line. The only time he's ever been disrupted as a quarterback is when he has the interior pressure and the defensive end stay disciplined. You guys mentioned being able to contain him, right? And being able to spy him. The spy doesn't really work. There's not many guys in the NFL that can really not react to his moves, all right, man to man, right? When Russell Wilson decides to scramble, one guy's really not going to stop him. Not a guy out in space, right, with a two-way go, with giving Russell Wilson a two-way go. So when you provide pressure with that interior D lineman, so when we talk about Poe, when we talk about Gallimore, when we talk about Tristan Hill, we talk about these guys and their abilities that they have, right? They are going to have to show up if Dallas wants to be successful against Russell Wilson, because he can get out the pocket, but if you provide pressure in the middle and you contain him on the outside, now you have him running around and causing all kinds of stir. So that's how you stop this man. That is the only way you stop this man. Our big boys up front got to show up.
Tune in to Talking Cowboys weekdays at 9:30 in the morning on DallasCowboys.com. Stopping Wilson is a top priority for this Cowboys team. However, he's not the only Seahawk they need to be worried about. A deep dive into some key matchups between the Cowboys and Seahawks coming your way next. Welcome back to Cowboys Rewind. From what we've seen from Dak Prescott and Russell Wilson through the first 2 weeks, we could very well expect to see a quarterback showdown. However, it takes more than just a great outing by a quarterback to win a game. Bill Jones, Bucky Brooks, Nate Newton, and Isaiah Stanback give some key head-to-head matchups between these Cowboys and Seahawks and how they could heavily impact the game on this week's special edition.
I love the quarterback matchup in this game, but let's check out what our experts say are the key matchups in this game. And let's go with Bucky Brooks. And talking quarterbacks, how about Dak coming off his 450-yard performance last week against this Seattle secondary, Bucky?
Oh, I like this matchup. I think as much as we worry about the Cowboys secondary, the Seattle Seahawks worry about theirs. This secondary has given up 731 yards to wide receivers. That is the most in the Super Bowl era through 2 weeks. And so when I look at Amari Cooper, CeeDee Lamb, Michael Gallup, it should be fun. It should be a field day for Dak Prescott. He might go back-to-back with 400-plus yards.
All right, next matchup we're looking at, Isaiah DK Metcalf against a rookie in the Cowboys secondary, Trayvon Diggs, dealing with a little shoulder injury. Who knows if it's a little shoulder injury? It's a little shoulder injury to me. It's not to him, right?
Absolutely. This is not what you want to see. Diggs versus DK Metcalf. Obviously, Diggs got introduced to the NFL last week by dealing with the number one receiver in the NFL, in Julio Jones. And he doesn't have that much of a drop-off as he comes down to DK Metcalf, 6'4", 225 pounds, running a 4.33. Absolutely torched Gilmore last week, who's arguably the best cornerback in the league. Diggs has some problems, and obviously missing 2 practices this week is not helping him. It's not to his advantage, so you better strap up.
And Nate, your matchup of the week, the Pro Bowl middle linebacker for the Seahawks, Bobby Wagner, the Pro Bowl running back for the Cowboys, Zeke Elliott.
Yes, he's the guy that lines everybody up. He's a playmaker. He's a pass rusher. He's a cover guy. He can do it all. But it's also K.J. Wright is up there making plays. And let's not forget Jamal Adams. He's a hybrid linebacker. So this offensive line and Zeke have their hands full.
Catch Special Edition Saturday nights at 11 on CBS 11. The 1-1 Cowboys face off against the 2-0 Seahawks Sunday afternoon from CenturyLink Field. Cowboys pregame live begins at 2 p.m. on all Dallas Cowboys platforms. Be sure to tune in to get the lowdown on both of these teams and what to expect ahead of their matchup. Thanks so much for watching Cowboys Rewind. Until next time, I'm Dani Sureck.
Cowboys Rewind was brought to you by AT&T. SWBC Mortgage, financial solutions to help you meet your personal and business goals. Visit swbc.com. And by the Dallas Cowboys Football Club. Want to tour AT&T Stadium? For more information, call 817-892-TOUR or visit dallascowboys.com/tours.